I woke up before the sun again, rubbing the sleep from my eyes and forcing myself out of bed. The apartment was quiet, too quiet. I padded to the kitchen and made a cup of instant coffee, the bitter taste grounding me. She was already gone, I knew, though she hadn't said anything. She never did anymore. Morning, I muttered to the empty apartment, hoping somehow the words would reach her even if she wasn't there. No reply. I dressed quickly, skipping breakfast. I couldn't afford time for anything else. Double shifts at the factory were brutal, but I kept thinking, this is for her. This is for us. At work, my hands were calloused, my muscles aching, but my mind couldn't focus. I kept thinking about how she'd been acting lately, distant, distracted, polite in that cold, measured way. You look tired, my coworker Mark said, glancing at me over the assembly line. Everything okay at home? I shook my head, forcing a smile. Just the usual. She's busy with work. Mark frowned. You sure it's just work? You don't seem like yourself. I'm fine, I said, louder than I meant to. My voice cracked. I hated that I was fragile like this, hated that she could make me feel invisible without even trying. I left the factory after 12 hours, my body heavy with exhaustion. I opened the apartment door and froze for a moment. The scent of her perfume lingered in the living room, expensive, sharp, unmistakably hers. She wasn't home yet. Hey, I called out softly, though I didn't really expect an answer. No reply. I sat on the couch, rubbing my face with both hands. She's slipping away from me. I know it. But maybe it's just stress, just a phase. I told myself lies because the truth hurt too much to face. When she finally arrived, I noticed it immediately. Her hair was different, styled perfectly, and she was dressed in that high-powered, confident way she used to wear only for work events. But now, it was like a shield she carried into our home. Hi, I said, trying to keep my voice steady. Long day? She looked up from her phone, her eyes flickering to mine for a fraction of a second. Yeah. Lots of meetings. Her tone was polite but distant. I swallowed the lump in my throat. Dinner. I mean, I made something if you want. She shook her head without looking at me. I already ate. I'm full. Then she walked past me, phone in hand, straight into her room. I stared after her, my chest tightening. I'm invisible to her. Invisible. Later that week, she invited me to meet her boss. I hesitated at first, but she insisted. He wants to meet you. Just for dinner, nothing serious, she said, flashing me that polite smile I remembered from the early days, but it didn't reach her eyes. I nodded, though a pit of anxiety settled in my stomach. At the restaurant, he appeared tall, confident, every bit the man I wasn't. His handshake was firm, his gaze direct. So, you're the man keeping her from collapsing under work stress, he said, his voice smooth, almost teasing. I swallowed. I just support her however I can. He smiled, but it wasn't warm. It was assessing. I can see she's lucky. Few people would do what you're doing. I felt small, exposed. The way he looked at me made me shrink in my chair. I wanted to disappear. She talks about you, she said quickly, perhaps sensing my discomfort. You know, all the time. I forced a smile. Really? She nodded, eyes down, fingers tracing the rim of her glass. But I couldn't shake the unease. Her boss leaned back, watching me like a predator. I felt insignificant. After dinner, I drove home in silence. She chatted briefly about her day, but her words felt hollow. My mind raced. She's slipping further away. She's choosing him, choosing something else. At home, I tried to hold the conversation together. Did you have a good time? She shrugged. It was fine. I flinched. Fine? Yes, fine. Her tone was flat. She avoided my eyes. I'm tired. I'm going to bed. And just like that, she disappeared behind the door, leaving me alone in the living room with the echoes of my own thoughts. I sat there for hours, thinking about the sacrifices I'd made. I skipped lunches, took extra shifts, saved every penny, all for her career, all for us. And now, I felt like a ghost in my own home. Maybe I was never enough. Maybe I never will be. The next few days blurred into each other. I went to work, came home, tried to talk, and got polite disinterest in return. She stayed later at the office, her phone always close, her energy focused elsewhere. One evening, I lingered outside her office building after she went inside. I wanted to hear her voice, see if she still laughed the way she used to with me. I waited, heart pounding, imagining the worst. A man came out. I saw her from the shadows. She was laughing, no, she was glowing, while talking to him. My heart stopped. It was her boss, the same man from dinner. They walked into a car together. She rested her hand on his arm casually, completely at ease. I stumbled backward, chest tight. She's choosing him. She's already gone. When I got home, I tried to act normal. I said, "Hey, did you have a good time at work today?" She didn't look up. It was fine. Her words were a knife. I tried to push the thought away, tried to remind myself that love, loyalty, and patience would matter. But every smile she gave someone else, every night she came home hours late, every polite dismissal was proof that the distance between us was widening. I felt like I was being erased. And then it happened. I was walking past her bedroom door when I heard her phone ring. She answered quietly. "Hello?" I froze. Every word cut into me like shards of glass. "Yes, no, not yet. I'll be there soon." Her voice trembled slightly, not with fear, but with excitement. She laughed softly. "I can't wait either." I backed away, my chest burning, my hands trembling. She had plans with him. She was making memories I wasn't part of, sharing moments I would never know. My stomach dropped, and a scream rose in my throat, but I swallowed it. I sank to the couch, head in my hands. This is it. This is the moment I realized I was no longer enough. Not for her. Not for anyone. I didn't move for hours, listening to the city hum outside. Every honk, every footstep, reminded me that life was moving on, and I wasn't part of hers anymore. The truth was undeniable. I had worked, sacrificed, and lived quietly for her, and she had quietly outgrown me. She wanted more power, influence, excitement. And I was invisible. I closed my eyes and whispered to myself, I won't disappear. I can't. I have to figure out how to fight back. Or I'll lose everything. I'll lose her. The apartment remained quiet, except for the faint ticking of the clock. I felt smaller, weaker, but somehow awake. For the first time, I truly saw her, and the life she had already chosen. And my heart pounded not just with fear, but with the spark of something darker, determination. If she thought she could leave me behind, she was wrong. I would rise. She would see, she would regret underestimating me. I couldn't sleep that night. Every shadow in the apartment seemed to mock me. I kept replaying what I'd overheard, her laughter, the tone in her voice, the ease with which she had shared herself with someone else. How could she? I whispered into the darkness. How could she betray me like this? The next morning, I went to work mechanically. My hands moved with precision, but my mind was elsewhere. Every sound made me flinch, every laugh from a coworker felt like a reminder of what I'd lost. Mark noticed immediately. You look worse today than yesterday, he said, leaning against the conveyor belt. I know something's wrong. Talk to me. I'm fine, I said, my voice hollow. I hated lying, but I couldn't tell him the truth. Not yet. Not until I knew it myself. I don't think you are, he said quietly. Look, if it's her, maybe you should follow your gut. What do you mean? I asked, gripping the edge of the table. I mean, if you think she's hiding something, maybe you should see it for yourself. I shook my head. I can't. I shouldn't. But the idea planted itself in my mind like a seed. That night, I made a decision. I would follow her. I had to know if my fears were real. My stomach twisted with dread as I waited outside her office. I checked my watch obsessively, heart hammering with every tick. Finally, she emerged, dressed in a sharp blazer, hair perfect, phone in hand. My chest constricted. She didn't notice me. I trailed her silently, keeping a safe distance. She walked to the car, and then, there he was. Her boss. My stomach sank as I saw them talk, laugh, touch arms casually. She rested her hand on his shoulder, leaning in slightly. The way she smiled at him, it wasn't just friendly. It was something else. I stumbled backward, grabbing a lamppost for support. My hands were shaking, my breath caught in my throat. No. This can't be real. She wouldn't, would she? I followed them to a luxury hotel. I stayed in the shadows, watching as they disappeared inside. My heart thudded so loudly I was sure they could hear it. The next morning, I couldn't concentrate on anything. I called my best friend, Ryan. Hey, you up? I asked, voice tight. I'm here, he said. You sound awful. What happened? I think she's with someone else, I whispered. There was a long pause. Are you sure? I saw them. Last night. At the hotel. Ryan cursed softly. Damn it, man. I'm so sorry. You want me to come over? Yes. Please. I didn't want to be alone. When he arrived, I broke down in his arms. I couldn't stop the tears. I don't understand. I did everything for her. I worked myself to the bone. I skipped meals. I gave her everything, and she just threw me away. Ryan rubbed my back. You can't control her. You did what you could. That's all you can do. I trusted her, I said, voice shaking. I loved her. And she just chose him. She chose power over me. Ryan said nothing. He just held me while I sobbed, the weight of betrayal crushing me. Later, I confronted her. I walked into the apartment, heart pounding. We need to talk, I said, my voice shaking but firm. She looked up from her phone, not alarmed, not surprised. About what? She asked. Don't play dumb. I saw you last night. At the hotel. With him. She didn't flinch. Didn't even pause. Yes, she said calmly. I'm with him. Is that what you wanted to hear? My hands trembled. Why? Why would you do this? After everything? She shrugged, looking me directly in the eye. You've held me back. I want more. I want power, respect, a life I can be proud of. And I can't have that with you. Power? I said, incredulous. You mean him? You choose him over me? Yes, she said simply. I choose what I deserve. My chest tightened, and I felt dizzy. I sacrificed for you. Everything. And this is what I get? She stood, walking toward the bedroom. You gave me comfort. That's all. I need more than comfort. I need ambition. Drive. Someone who pushes me, not someone who holds me back. I couldn't move. Words failed me. Rage and grief collided in my chest, a storm that made it hard to breathe. Wait, I said desperately. You can't just leave like this. We built a life. I love you. She cut me off. Love isn't enough. I sank into the couch, feeling hollow. So that's it? After everything, you just walk away? Yes. That's it. She sounded calm, almost rehearsed. I'm filing for divorce. I've already spoken to a lawyer. Everything will be finalized soon. My throat tightened, and I struggled to breathe. Divorce, now? Yes. Now. I can't waste any more time. I wanted to scream, to hit something, to wake up from this nightmare. I don't understand. Why? Why would you do this? She paused in the doorway, looking at me with a faint trace of pity, maybe. Because I realized I can't be happy with someone who doesn't grow with me. I can't be with someone who stays behind. I love what we had, but it's not enough anymore. It's over, and it's been over for a while. I'm just being honest. Honest. Her honesty was a blade through my chest. I couldn't move, couldn't speak. My body felt like lead. I watched her walk to the bedroom, close the door, and leave me alone with my thoughts. I sat there for hours, replaying every moment of our life together. Every smile, every sacrifice, every late night I worked while she slept comfortably in the next room, it felt meaningless. I gave her everything, and it wasn't enough. Later, I tried calling her. Please, talk to me. Just talk. We can figure this out. I can change. No, she said softly, but firmly. It's too late. I'm sorry. I slumped against the kitchen counter. My hands shook. I can't believe this. I trusted you. I believed in us. She didn't answer. She didn't need to. The silence said it all. I spent that night on the couch, replaying every moment, every sacrifice, every dream I had given up for her. I felt hollow, betrayed, and utterly powerless. How could she do this to me? I whispered to the darkness, my voice breaking. I gave you everything. Everything. And this is what I get? I thought about confronting him, her boss, the man who had stolen her attention so easily. My fists clenched, but I knew I wasn't strong enough, not yet. Instead, I buried my face in my hands, listening to the quiet hum of the apartment, the faint tick of the clock marking time that I would never get back with her. Sleep never came. I didn't even try. My mind was consumed with the same thought over and over, I will not let this break me. I will rise. I will show her what she threw away. I will survive. And somewhere beneath the grief, the betrayal, and the heartbreak, a spark of something darker ignited, determination. If she thinks she can walk away without consequences, she's wrong. I woke up to the sound of my alarm, though I hadn't slept more than a few hours. My body ached, my head throbbed, and my chest felt heavy, like I was carrying a weight that would never leave. I hadn't eaten properly in days, and even my coffee tasted bitter and empty. I called Ryan. Hey, can you come over? My voice was hoarse. I'll be there in 10, he said. Man, you sound worse than last night. I just need someone, I admitted. I can't do this alone. When he arrived, he found me sitting on the couch, staring blankly at the wall. Dude, you look like hell, he said, dropping onto the floor next to me. I feel like hell, I whispered. I gave her everything, and she just threw me away. She doesn't even care. Ryan rubbed my shoulder. I know. I know. But you can't keep punishing yourself. You did what you could. That's all anyone can do. I can't let this go, I said, shaking my head. It hurts too much. I can't. I can't just be okay with her leaving me. You don't have to be okay, he said. But you do have to figure out what comes next. You can't live like this. I buried my face in my hands. What comes next? I have nothing left. She's gone. She's happy with him. And me? I'm just empty. Ryan stayed quiet for a while, letting me sit with it. Finally, he said, maybe it's time you stop thinking about her for a moment. Focus on yourself. On what you can do. On what you can control. I looked up at him, skepticism written all over my face. And what's that, Ryan? What can I control? Everything you do from this point forward, he said firmly. You start small. You start rebuilding. You don't let her, or him, define your life. I wanted to argue, to tell him it wasn't that simple, but a small part of me knew he was right. Later that day, I wandered the city, my mind racing. I passed by a gym and hesitated. I hadn't exercised seriously in years. Maybe it was time. I pushed the door open, the smell of sweat and rubber hitting me. I joined a class, struggling through every movement, feeling my muscles scream. This is bad, I muttered under my breath as I collapsed on the mat. A trainer, a middle-aged man with a kind but firm face, approached me. First time? Yeah, I admitted. I haven't done this in forever. Good, he said. It means you're starting. That's the hardest part. Keep going. I nodded, swallowing the lump in my throat. He didn't know my story, but somehow, his words struck me. Starting, that's all I can do right now. After the class, I walked to a nearby cafe, pulling out an old notebook. I hadn't written in months, not since we were together. My hand shook as I scribbled down thoughts, anger, grief, confusion, but also tiny sparks of determination. I can't let her define me anymore, I whispered to myself. I have to fight back. I have to survive. Ryan called again. How are you holding up? I started moving, I said. Gym, writing, thinking. I don't know if it's enough, but it's something. That's good, he said. Small steps. You're not broken, man. You're just angry. And that anger can fuel you, if you let it. I leaned back in the chair, staring out the window at the city lights. Anger. Yes. Pain. Yes. But beneath it, possibility. A chance to reclaim control over my life. The next few days were a blur of effort. I worked during the day, barely eating, barely sleeping, but in the evenings, I pushed my body and my mind harder than I ever had. I read books on business strategy, psychology, even law. I trained my body until every muscle ached, until I couldn't tell if the sweat was from exertion or emotion. One evening, after collapsing onto my bed, Ryan's words echoed in my mind, that anger can fuel you, if you let it. I realized he was right. I had been buried in grief for days, letting her betrayal define me. Now, I had a choice, stay broken, or fight back. I called my old mentor, Mr. Harris, the man who had once guided me through school and early work challenges. Mr. Harris, I said, my voice shaking slightly. I need guidance. I don't know where to start, but I need to rebuild myself. I need to rise. There was a pause. You're serious? He asked, voice low but sharp. I am, I said firmly. I've hit rock bottom, and I can't. I can't stay there. I need to change. I need. I need to be strong. Good, he said finally. Then you start tomorrow. I'll help you. But know this, you won't like it at first. You'll hurt. You'll fail. You'll doubt yourself every step of the way. But that's the only path to becoming stronger than what broke you. I swallowed hard. I'm ready. You better be, he said. Because no one else will fight for you. Not her. Not anyone. Only you. I hung up and stared at the wall, mind racing. Only me. That thought settled heavily but firmly. Only I can save myself. Only I can rise from this. The next morning, I woke before dawn. I made a list: business courses, physical training, skill building, networking. I needed to reclaim control of my life, one step at a time. When Ryan arrived, he found me at the desk, laptop open, notebook full of plans. Wow, you're actually doing it, he said, eyes wide. I have to, I said, voice steady. I can't. I can't be the man she left behind. Not anymore. I will rebuild. I will rise. I will show her what she threw away. He nodded. I believe it. You're going to make it, man. I know it. A part of me felt the fire return, anger mixed with focus, grief turning into determination. For the first time since the betrayal, I felt alive. Later, I ran into her on the street. She smiled, polite, almost casual. Hi, she said, voice calm. I looked at her, feeling the familiar ache, but instead of falling apart, I nodded. Hi, I said. I'm busy. She frowned, confused. Busy? Yes, I said firmly. I have a lot to do. A lot to rebuild. Her eyes widened slightly. Rebuild, from what? I didn't answer. I just walked past her, chest tight but focused, heart racing with purpose. That night, I wrote again, planning, thinking, training. Every tear, every heartbreak, every sleepless night became fuel. I realized something important: my life wasn't over because of her choices. It was only beginning. I whispered into the darkness, almost like a vow. I will rise. I will become someone she can't ignore, someone she can't look down on. And when I do, she'll know what she lost. But by then, it won't matter anymore. I will matter. To myself. For the first time since her betrayal, I felt power, not over her, but over myself. And it was intoxicating. This is my choice, I told myself, lying in bed as the city hummed outside. I choose to rise. I choose to survive. I choose me. I woke up before dawn again, but this time it wasn't dread or heartbreak driving me. It was purpose. I pulled on my running shoes and hit the street, the cold morning air slapping me awake. Every step felt like a promise I'd made to myself: I will rise. I will rebuild. I will be stronger. By the time I got home, sweat dripped from my hair, my legs ached, but I felt alive in a way I hadn't for months. Ryan was waiting with coffee. Look at you, he said, grinning. You actually look different. I am different, I said, downing the coffee. I'm not the man who watched her walk away anymore. I'm someone who's going to reclaim control over his life. He raised his eyebrows. Big words. You sure you can follow through? I don't have a choice, I said firmly. I can either rot in grief or fight back. And I'm not rotting. I spent the next weeks juggling work, training, and studying. I woke up at dawn, ran, trained my body until it screamed, then headed to my job, every movement precise, every task intentional. At night, I read books on strategy, business, leadership, anything that would give me an edge. One evening, Ryan stopped by with a worried frown. "You're pushing too hard," he said. "When do you rest?" "I rest when I'm done," I said, voice tight. "Rest is for people who have nothing to fight for. I have everything to fight for now." "You're scaring me," he muttered. "You've changed. I mean, you're more focused, yeah, but there's fire in your eyes. You're dangerous." "Good," I said, smirking slightly. "I want to be dangerous. I want to be unstoppable. I'm done being weak." I called Mr. Harris, my mentor. "I'm ready for the next step," I said. "I need guidance on business. I need to start my own company, and I need it to succeed. I can't fail." "You won't fail," he said firmly. "But know this, it's going to be harder than you imagine. You'll face setbacks. People will doubt you. You'll question yourself more than ever. But keep pushing. That's the only way." "I'm ready," I said. "I have to be." The first challenge was finding partners, investors, anyone who would give me a chance. Every rejection felt like a punch to the gut, every polite no a reminder of how far I had fallen. One evening, I met a potential business partner, Jonathan, at a small cafe. "So you're the guy who's been working day and night on this?" he asked, eyes sharp. "I am," I said. "I don't have a lot of experience, but I have drive, vision, and determination. I'm willing to put everything on the line." He leaned back, scrutinizing me. "You've got passion, I'll give you that. But passion isn't enough. Do you have the guts to keep going when everything collapses?" "I will," I said firmly. "I don't know what failure feels like anymore. I just know I can't give up." He nodded slowly. "All right. Let's see what you've got. I'll give you a chance." That night, I lay in bed, adrenaline still coursing through me. This is it. This is the first step. The first of many. I'm not just surviving anymore, I'm building. I'm growing. I'm rising. Weeks turned into months. My company slowly took shape. I worked tirelessly, pitching ideas, negotiating contracts, learning from every mistake. I failed more times than I could count, but each failure taught me something new. I couldn't afford despair. I couldn't afford distractions. One night, after a particularly grueling day, I collapsed on the couch. Ryan flopped beside me. "Man, I don't know how you do it. You're relentless." "I have to be," I said, voice quiet. "I can't go back to who I was. I can't let her, or anyone, think I'm weak." "You've changed," he said. "I mean, you're still you, but sharper. Stronger. Smarter. More alive." "I have to be," I said. "I have to be someone who can't be ignored, someone she would regret leaving. Not that I'm doing this for her. I'm doing this for me. But, if she ever sees what I've become, she'll know what she lost." Ryan grinned. "I think she already will. Just wait." "The fire in you? People notice that." I smiled faintly, letting the thought sit. "Yes. Let her notice. Let the world notice. But first, I need to become someone truly unshakable." One afternoon, I received a call from Jonathan. "Your project's pitch? Investors want to see it," he said. "They're impressed with your dedication, but they need more numbers, more strategy. Can you deliver?" "I can," I said without hesitation. "I've been preparing for this." The meeting was intense. Investors questioned every detail, every forecast, every plan. My hands shook slightly as I spoke, but I held my ground. I answered every question, defended every strategy. When I left the building, I felt drained but exhilarated. Later, Jonathan met me outside. "You handled that well," he said. "Most people would have crumbled. You didn't. You've got something, a spark. Keep it." "Thanks," I said. "I won't waste it." "I can't." That night, I ran again, the city lights blurring past me. I thought about her, my ex-wife, and I didn't feel pain anymore. I felt resolve. The anger, the heartbreak, the betrayal, they were all fuel now. Fuel for growth, for strength, for power. A few weeks later, my company officially launched. It was small, modest, but it was mine. Every client I signed, every contract I negotiated, every late night I endured, was a brick in the foundation I was building for myself. Ryan came over that night, clapping me on the back. "Look at you," he said. "You're doing it. You're really doing it." "I am," I said, voice steady. "I'm building a life that I control. Not hers, not anyone else's. Mine. And one day, they'll all see the man I've become." Ryan frowned, concern mixed with pride. "Just promise me you won't lose yourself in this. Don't let the revenge or the anger consume you." "I won't," I said, though a small smile curved my lips. "I'm not doing this for revenge. I'm doing this because I can. Because I have to. Because I finally understand my worth." And for the first time in months, I slept that night without nightmares. Exhausted, yes, but alive. Strong. Determined. The city hummed outside, indifferent to my struggles, unaware of my plans, my rise. I didn't care. I didn't need its approval. I needed my own. And I had it. I whispered into the darkness before sleep took me, almost like a vow to myself, I will rise higher than anyone expects. I will become someone unshakable. Someone she can never forget. And I will do it my way. No shortcuts. No apologies. No limits. The path ahead was long, and it would be hard. But for the first time since she left, I felt powerful, not in wealth or status, but in control. Control over my life, my destiny, and my future. I am no longer the man she outgrew. I am someone entirely new. And I will not be broken again. I didn't expect to see her again so soon. I walked into the business conference hall, my mind focused on the pitch I was about to deliver, when the crowd parted just enough for me to see her. She was standing near the entrance, dressed impeccably, as if she owned the room. Her hair fell perfectly over her shoulders, her posture was confident, and for a brief moment, I froze. My ex-wife, the woman who had shattered my world, was here, and she didn't seem the least bit aware of my presence. Then, her eyes met mine. For a split second, I saw shock. Confusion. Recognition. And maybe, just maybe, a flicker of regret. She smiled faintly. "Oh, it's you," she said softly. I didn't answer. I just walked past her, my posture straight, my head held high. I didn't need to speak. She could see what I had become. "Wait, are you really here?" she asked, voice trembling slightly. I ignored her. Every step I took felt like a statement. The man she thought she could leave behind? He wasn't behind anymore. He was standing tall, strong, and unshakable. Later, I met Jonathan and other investors, delivering the pitch I had prepared for months. Every word I spoke, every confident glance, every decisive movement reinforced the person I had become. When the investors applauded, I felt a rush, not of pride, but of validation. I had earned my place. After the meeting, I stepped outside to clear my head, and there she was again, waiting near the exit. "You've changed," she said, almost whispering. "I didn't expect this." I looked at her, calm but cold. "You shouldn't expect anything from me." Her lips parted. I heard about your company. People are talking. You've done well. I smirked faintly. I've done more than well. I've survived. I've built something from nothing, something I control entirely. That's more than well. She swallowed, shifting her weight nervously. I didn't realize. I thought. I thought what? I interrupted, tone sharp. That I'd crumble? That I'd stay broken? That I'd let you walk away and mean nothing to me forever? She flinched, and I felt the subtle power shift. For the first time, it wasn't me who felt small. It was her. I didn't mean to. Save it, I said. I don't need your excuses. I don't need your apologies. I've spent months rebuilding my life, my mind, my body. I don't have room for regrets that aren't mine to fix. Her eyes widened. You're cold. I'm strong, I corrected, voice steady. And I've learned that cold isn't weakness. Cold is clarity. Control. Power. Something you chose over me, remember? She looked down, fingers twisting nervously. I didn't think it would be like this. I thought. Thought I'd fail? I asked. Thought I'd crumble while you chased him, chased success, chased power? Maybe you did. But I didn't. And I won't. A silence stretched between us. I could see her struggling to speak, to find words that didn't exist. She wanted to reach me, to explain herself, maybe even to apologize, but it was too late. I hope you understand one thing, I said softly but firmly. I don't hate you. I don't need revenge. I don't need closure from you. I've built my life, my strength, my purpose. I am not the man you left behind. I am not yours to hold anymore. Her lips trembled. I didn't expect this. I thought, maybe you'd still wait. I shook my head. I don't wait anymore. I act. I move forward. And that's exactly what I'm doing. She looked at me, her eyes glossy. You've really changed. Yes, I said. And it's only the beginning. You'll see, eventually. But not from me. Not through my permission. You'll see because I'm unstoppable now. Because I refuse to be defined by you or by anyone else. Her voice dropped. I wish I'd realized sooner. I took a slow step closer, but not for her. For me. To assert my presence. You made your choice. I made mine. And I'll never go back. Not for anyone. Not for her, not for him, not for you. I've spent enough time broken. I'm done with that life. She swallowed hard, tears threatening. I never wanted it to end like this. You chose it, I said simply. I didn't. I didn't choose betrayal. I didn't choose humiliation. I didn't choose heartbreak. You did. And I survived it. And I'll thrive because of it. Her hands twitched, as if she wanted to reach for me, to say something else, to reclaim some fragment of what we had, but I didn't give her that chance. I have work to do, I said. People are counting on me. I don't have time for the past. And frankly, neither do you. So stay where you are, and remember this, your choices, your consequences. Mine are mine alone. She nodded slowly, swallowing tears she refused to let fall. I understand. I didn't wait for more. I turned and walked away, each step deliberate, confident. I didn't glance back. The sound of my heels, or rather, the echo of my shoes on the concrete, was enough to signal the distance I had created. Later, in my office, I leaned back in my chair, letting out a long breath. The adrenaline, the tension, the emotion of seeing her again, it all slowly drained. And in its place, clarity remained. I wasn't doing this to prove anything to her. I was doing this for me. Ryan called that evening. How did it go? I saw her, I said, voice calm. She saw me too. It's over. Over? Yes. I've moved past her. She's in the past now. Man, that's hard. Really hard. It's not, I said. It's liberating. I've spent months building myself up. Nothing she says, nothing she does, can change what I've become. I am unstoppable. And that's what counts. Ryan was quiet for a moment. I guess, congratulations. You're really rising, huh? I smiled faintly. Not rising yet. But I'm on the path. And when I reach the top, she'll understand exactly what she threw away. The next few weeks were a blur of work, meetings, and networking. I focused entirely on my company, my clients, my growth. Every success was proof that I could survive betrayal, heartbreak, and humiliation. Every failure was a lesson, a step toward becoming unshakable. Then came a quiet night, alone in my office. I stared at the skyline outside the window, lights flickering like distant stars. And I realized something. I wasn't chasing her. I wasn't angry at her anymore. The fire inside me was for me, not revenge, not validation, but self-empowerment. She thought leaving me would destroy me, I whispered into the silence. But she only made me stronger. And now, I'll rise higher than she ever imagined. I picked up my notebook, pen moving quickly, planning the next moves for the company. Strategy, growth, expansion. Every line, every idea, every calculation was another brick in the foundation of the man I was becoming. Somewhere deep inside, I felt it, the first taste of true power, the kind that comes from within, not from anyone else. And I knew, no matter what she did, no matter what the world threw at me, I would never be weak again. That night, as the city hummed below, I whispered once more, I am rising. I am unstoppable. And the past is mine to leave behind. For the first time, I slept knowing the future was mine. I had been hearing whispers for weeks, rumors of problems in her world. Deals falling through, partnerships crumbling, her boss showing cracks in the facade I'd seen before. Normally, I would have ignored it. This wasn't my life anymore. But something stirred inside me, a mix of curiosity, satisfaction, and cautious anticipation. Ryan called first thing that morning. You won't believe what I heard, he said, voice low. Her company, things are unraveling. I leaned back in my chair, folding my arms. Go on. They're losing clients. Big ones. The board's furious. And her boss? He's under investigation for some financial mismanagement. Could be criminal. I swallowed hard, feeling a strange mix of emotions. This isn't about revenge. Not really. But the world is balancing itself, isn't it? I want to see this, I said quietly. I need to see how far they've fallen. You're not planning, Ryan began. I'm not planning anything, I interrupted firmly. I just want to witness reality. Later that afternoon, I attended a networking event, purely coincidental, or so I told myself. I spotted her across the room, laughing at a joke, but there was tension in her smile, an edge I hadn't seen before. Her boss hovered nearby, trying to appear calm, but I could see it in his eyes, nervous, calculating, faltering. I approached a colleague I trusted. Do you know what's happening over there? He leaned in, voice low. They're in trouble. Big trouble. Clients pulling contracts, lawsuits, rumors flying. They've been walking on a tightrope, and now it's snapping. I nodded slowly, trying to keep my face neutral. Good. Let them feel the consequences of their choices. Let them see that power isn't guaranteed. I moved closer, pretending to look at a display, but my eyes stayed on her. She caught my gaze for a split second, and I saw panic flash. Not fear, exactly, but recognition. She knew I had seen her fall, even from afar. Her boss approached her, whispering something sharply. She nodded, biting her lip. The aura of confidence she had carried for so long seemed to flicker, as if the cracks were finally visible to everyone. I caught my breath, heart pounding, not out of triumph, but out of clarity. I survived. I rose. And now? I watched them falter while I build. Later that night, I received a call from Jonathan. I just closed a huge deal, he said, excitement in his voice. Your company's profile is rising fast. Clients are lining up. Investors are impressed. I allowed myself a small smile. Good. Keep pushing. No mistakes. You're relentless, he said, laughing. But it's working. I hung up and thought about her. She had built an empire, yes, but one without foundation. Without loyalty, without true strength, it crumbled like sand under pressure. And I had built something real, something that could withstand storms. The next day, I ran into her at a private event. She approached me, tentative. I didn't expect to see you here, she said softly. I raised an eyebrow. And yet you did. She sighed. Things haven't gone well. We've lost clients. The board is furious. He's under investigation. I nodded slowly, voice calm. I heard. I hope it's manageable. She looked at me, pain flashing in her eyes. It's more than I imagined. I should have appreciated what I had, what I left behind. I didn't realize. You didn't, I said quietly. And now you see what you lost. That's all. I made mistakes, she whispered. I didn't think about you, about me, about anything that mattered. I told you before, I said. It's not about mistakes. It's about choices. You made yours. I made mine. And I moved on. Her lips quivered. I thought I could have it all. Power, success, him. But it's collapsing. And save it, I interrupted. I'm not here for your confessions. I'm here because I've built a life I control. One that doesn't crumble with the wind. And that's all I need. She took a step back, shame and realization painted across her face. I never imagined you could. I mean, I didn't expect. Expect me to survive? I said, voice steady. To rise? Yes. You underestimated me. You always did. That's on you, not me. She swallowed hard, silence stretching between us. Her eyes searched mine, perhaps for anger, perhaps for some sign of weakness, but there was none. Only clarity. Only strength. Only a man who had refused to be broken. I wish things were different, she finally said, voice trembling. They are different, I said simply. For me. Not for you. I've grown. I've built. I've survived. And that's reality. Nothing else matters. Her lips parted, and she opened her mouth to speak again, but I turned away, walking past her with purpose. Every step felt deliberate, a declaration. I was done being anyone's shadow. I was done being overlooked, dismissed, or betrayed. Later, Ryan called. I saw the headlines, he said. Their empire is collapsing fast. Are you feeling okay? I feel alive, I said. For the first time in months, I feel truly alive. Watching them falter isn't satisfaction, it's clarity. Proof that what I've built is real. That strength survives betrayal. That truth always comes to light. Man, you've changed, Ryan said. Completely. I have to change, I said firmly. Or I'd still be the man she outgrew. And I'll never be him again. Not for anyone. That night, I sat in my office, reviewing the company's progress. Every contract, every client, every positive report was a brick in my foundation. And with each one, I realized, this was more than business. It was life, rebuilt from the ashes of heartbreak. I thought about her collapse, about the lessons of loyalty, betrayal, and ambition. And I knew, this wasn't about revenge. It was about survival, about clarity, about rising above what had tried to break me. The world was shifting beneath her feet, and I watched from a distance. She had chosen power, influence, and ambition, but without true strength, it was fleeting. She was learning that too late. I whispered into the quiet of the office, almost like a vow, I didn't rise to watch her fall. I rose to rise. But if she sees the truth now, good. Let it remind her what she lost. Let it remind me what I gained. The next morning, I walked through the city streets, absorbing the energy around me. Every building, every light, every passerby was a reminder, the world moves forward, relentlessly. And so would I. I stopped outside a cafe where I'd once sat with her, drinking cheap coffee and dreaming of the future together. I didn't go inside. I didn't want to. I just stood there, imagining the contrast, then, helpless, dependent, overlooked. Now, alive, strong, unstoppable. Ryan joined me quietly. You're really different now, he said. I had to be, I said. I survived what she and her choices tried to do to me. And now I build. And I rise. Nothing else matters. He nodded, smiling faintly. I guess, the empire falls, and the man rises. Looks like the world has balance. I allowed myself a small, almost imperceptible smile. Balance isn't something the world gives you. It's something you take. Something you earn. And I've earned mine. As the sun dipped behind the city skyline, I felt it, a sense of clarity, of direction, of power that no betrayal could touch. The collapse of their empire wasn't my victory. It was a reflection of the choices they made. And my rise? That was my life, my strength, my proof that survival, determination, and self-worth always endure. I whispered once more, to no one but myself, I am unbreakable. I am unstoppable. I am the man I was always meant to be. And for the first time in months, I slept knowing that I had truly reclaimed my life. I didn't plan to confront her. Not at first. I thought I would continue building my life, letting the collapse of her world speak for itself. But sometimes, fate has a way of forcing encounters you don't expect, and this was one of them. I was attending a networking gala, my company now firmly on the rise, when I spotted her across the room. She looked nervous, scanning the crowd, but her eyes found mine almost instantly. I could see it, the tension, the recognition, the sudden awareness that the man she had left behind was no longer someone she could control or belittle. She approached slowly, hesitant. I didn't expect to see you here, she said, voice carefully neutral. Neither did I replied, my tone calm but firm. But here we are. Her lips quivered. Things have changed, haven't they? I raised an eyebrow. Changed? Yes. I've changed. I survived betrayal, heartbreak, humiliation. I've built something real, something lasting. And you, well, you've watched it crumble. Her eyes flicked away for a moment, shame or regret flashing across her face. I know I made mistakes, she said softly. I didn't realize what I had, what I lost. I thought I could manage it all, him, the power, the company. But it's falling apart. And? I asked, keeping my voice even. Is that supposed to make me feel sorry for you? No, she exclaimed, a sudden edge in her voice. I want you to understand. I never wanted to hurt you. I never wanted. You hurt me, I interrupted, voice sharp now. You made choices. You betrayed me. You walked away from the life we built, and I didn't ask for it, didn't deserve it, and certainly don't forgive it. Do you understand that? She nodded, swallowing hard. I do. And I regret it. Regret. The word sounded weak in her mouth. Tiny, meaningless, when I had endured months of pain, sleepless nights, humiliation, rebuilding everything from scratch. I've heard that before, I said softly. Regret doesn't undo the choices you made. And I'm not here for apologies. I'm here to remind you. I survived. I thrived. And I am no longer yours to define. Her eyes shimmered with unshed tears. I can see that. You're not the man I left behind. You're stronger, I finished for her. Unshakable. Clear. Focused. You underestimated me, and that's your mistake. But it's not mine to fix. It's yours to live with. Her hands twisted nervously. I thought leaving was the right choice. I thought I was doing what I needed to do. But seeing you, like this, I realize I misjudged everything. You did, I said. And now you're watching consequences unfold. That's life. Not punishment. Not revenge. Just reality. She stepped closer, voice trembling. I wanted to tell you before, when it mattered. But I didn't know how. Too late, I said calmly. Time for confessions is over. The man I am now doesn't dwell on past mistakes, mine or yours. I move forward. That's what you failed to see. I understand, she whispered. I never expected you to rise like this. I thought I'd left you behind, broken. But you're more than I imagined. I Stop, I said firmly, holding up a hand. I don't need your admiration. I don't need your explanations. I don't need anything from you. The only person who mattered in my life right now was me. And I chose myself. Every step I took, every night I trained, every business deal I secured, was for me, not for you, not for him, not for anyone else. Her lips parted, trembling. I see that. And I'm sorry. I don't need your apologies, I said. I need nothing from you. You made your choice, I made mine. And now, we exist in separate worlds. That's all. Clear? She nodded slowly, swallowing hard. Clear. The silence that followed was heavy, thick with the weight of everything we'd lost, everything we'd endured. And for the first time in a long time, I didn't feel anger. I didn't feel heartbreak. I felt power. Control. Freedom. Good, I said finally. Because I don't plan to speak to you again. I don't plan to look back. I've risen from the ashes you thought would consume me. That's all you need to know. Her eyes glistened, tears finally spilling over. I I didn't realize. I never imagined. Save it, I said quietly. I don't need your realizations. I've already experienced them. Now you must live with yours. I turned and walked away, each step deliberate, measured, a declaration of independence. She stood frozen, watching me go, unable to stop the reality she had created for herself. Later, Ryan called. So, how did it go? I exhaled slowly. I confronted her. Face to face. It was necessary. Necessary, he asked. Did it feel good? No, I said honestly. It felt clarifying. Final. I needed to see it with my own eyes, to hear it, to know I'm done. And now I am. I'm truly done. She can't affect me anymore. Not in any way that matters. Man. I'm proud of you, he said softly. You've come so far. I know, I said. And I'm not done. This was just one step. One of many. But it was important. Closure isn't about her. It's about me. And now, I have it. The next days were filled with energy, with movement, with building. I focused on my company, on my training, on networking. Every meeting, every decision, every late night was a brick in the foundation of a life I could finally call mine. Then, one evening, I received an unexpected message from her. I hope you're happy. I see now what I lost. I wish I could change it. I read it, letting the words sink in. And for the first time, I didn't feel anger. I didn't feel pain. I felt calm. I typed a reply, short and firm. I am happy. I am alive. I am free. And that's all that matters. She read it. I didn't wait for a response. I didn't need one. That was my final act of power, not control over her, but control over myself. I realized something profound in that moment. Closure wasn't about making her feel regret. Closure wasn't about punishment. It was about claiming my own life, my own strength, and refusing to let her shadow linger any longer. The next morning, I ran before dawn, as I always did, breathing in the cold air, feeling my body alive, my mind sharp, my spirit unbroken. The confrontation had been heavy, emotional, and intense, but it was finished. Ryan joined me, jogging alongside silently. When we stopped, he clapped me on the back. You're different, he said. Completely different. I don't think she could ever see you the same way again. Good, I said quietly, letting the words settle. She doesn't need to. I've already moved past her. This is my life now. Mine to build. Mine to control. Mine to rise in. We ran in silence for a while, the city waking up around us. I felt alive in a way I hadn't in years. The betrayal, heartbreak, and confrontation were behind me. The path ahead was mine, and nothing could shake me. Later, in my office, I reviewed the company's progress. Each success, each milestone, each strategic move was proof that I was unstoppable. Not because of her failure, not because of anyone else's downfall, but because I had risen from nothing, stronger than ever, unshakable in my purpose. That night, I looked out at the skyline, the city lights flickering like distant stars. I whispered to myself, I am the man I was always meant to be. I am unbroken. I am unstoppable. And no one, no betrayal, no heartbreak, no choice, can ever take that away from me again. And for the first time in years, I slept with a sense of peace, knowing that I had confronted the past, owned my present, and secured my future. I didn't expect her to come back into my life again. Not after everything. Not after the confrontation, not after watching her empire crumble. But life has a way of forcing closure in its own brutal way. It was a rainy evening, and I was finishing up at the office. The city outside was gray and slick, reflecting neon lights like broken glass. My phone buzzed. The name on the screen made my stomach tighten. Her. I answered, wary. What do you want? My voice was calm but edged with steel. We need to talk, she said softly, almost pleading. I made mistakes, I know that now. Talk? I interrupted. You've had months to talk, to apologize, to explain. And yet you chose silence, betrayal, and arrogance. Why now? I was scared, she admitted. Scared of what you'd say, scared of losing you forever. But I can't. I can't live with this regret. I rubbed my temple. You think telling me now changes anything? It doesn't. You made your choices. You bear the consequences. I've borne mine. And I've built something stronger than what you left behind. I want a chance, she whispered. A second chance. Please. I'll do anything. Anything to make this right. I laughed softly, bitterly. A second chance? Do you know what you're asking? You walked away from me. You ignored loyalty, love, everything we built. And now, after watching me rise without you, you want to come back? Yes, she said, desperation creeping into her voice. I was wrong. I see that now. Please, just let me try. Let me. Stop, I said firmly. I don't need you to try. I don't need your apologies. I don't need your excuses. I've spent months reclaiming my life, my strength, my purpose. And you are not part of that anymore. There was a long silence on the other end. I could hear her breathing, shaky and uncertain. I understand, she said finally. I hoped. You hoped? I interrupted. You hope I'd forget betrayal? You hope I'd forgive a lifetime of disregard for our marriage? You hope I'd let you back into my life like nothing happened? Yes, she admitted softly. I was wrong. I never realized. I realized, I said. I realized my worth, my strength, my power. I realized that loyalty and love aren't things to be taken for granted. And I realized that I don't need someone who can't value me to be complete. I am complete. Without you. Without him. Without your empire. Without your approval. Her voice trembled. I just want to. I just want you to see that I've changed. I'm different now. You're different, I said slowly. I can see that. But it's too late. Your chance was when I trusted you. When I believed in us. When I sacrificed everything for you. That chance is gone. Permanently. Tears filled her voice. Please, just one more chance. I'll do anything. I'll quit everything. No, I said firmly. You'll do nothing. Not for me. Not for anyone. I've built a life I control. I've survived betrayal, humiliation, heartbreak. And I've thrived. You are a memory. A lesson. A shadow of the past I refuse to dwell in. Silence hung between us, heavy and suffocating. I could hear the rain tapping against the window, the city alive outside, indifferent to our struggle. I see, she whispered finally. I'm sorry. I don't need your sorry, I said quietly. I need my life. And I have it. Every step I take, every deal I make, every victory I earn, belongs to me. Not you. Not anyone else. The line went quiet for a moment. Then she spoke, voice fragile. You've really become someone I can't reach. Someone untouchable. I allowed myself a small smile, cold but firm. That's right. Untouchable. And that's where I stay. Because I won't let anyone break me again. Not her. Not him. Not fate. Not the past. I am stronger than all of it. Her breathing trembled. I never meant. I never realized. Stop, I said softly. You don't get to explain. You don't get to apologize. You don't get to touch this life. You lost your chance the moment you walked away. Permanently. And now? I move forward. Alone, if I choose. Strong, if I can. Free, because I refuse to be tied to someone who doesn't value me. I see, she said quietly. I understand. I hope. I hope you're happy. I am, I said firmly. And I will continue to be. You don't get to define my happiness anymore. I do. The call ended, leaving me staring at the dark city outside my window. The rain-soaked streets reflected lights like shards of glass. And I realized something profound. Closure wasn't about her recognition. Closure wasn't about her apology. Closure wasn't about revenge. It was about claiming my own life, my own power, my own peace. I leaned back in my chair, letting the adrenaline drain. The weight of confrontation, of betrayal, of heartbreak lifted. I didn't feel triumph. I didn't feel hate. I felt clarity. I thought about the months I had endured, the sleepless nights, the pain, the rebuilding, the training, the business, the victories, the failures. All of it had led to this moment, final clarity, final separation, final freedom. Ryan called shortly after. Everything okay? He asked. Better than okay, I said. I confronted the past. I didn't let it consume me. And now? I'm free. That's good, he said, quietly proud. You've really become someone unstoppable. Yes, I said. Unstoppable. And this is just the beginning. The next few weeks passed in a blur of growth and expansion. My company flourished, my influence expanded, and every success reinforced the life I had built. I continued training my body, refining my mind, and strengthening my spirit. I no longer sought validation from anyone, because I had validated myself through every struggle and triumph. Then, one evening, I walked past a familiar cafe, the one where she and I had spent so many nights planning our dreams. I paused, letting the memories wash over me, not with pain, not with longing, but with clarity. That man, the one who had felt powerless, heartbroken, invisible, was gone. I whispered to myself, almost as a vow, I am the man I was meant to be. I am strong. I am free. I am unshakable. The rain fell softly, washing the streets clean. And I realized that life, like the city, moves forward relentlessly. And I was moving with it, powerful, unbroken, unstoppable. That night, as I looked out over the skyline, I understood something vital. She had begged for a second chance I would never give, and it wasn't cruelty that guided me. It was strength. It was self-respect. It was the culmination of months of struggle, growth, and self-discovery. I whispered again, softly, with certainty, I will never be broken by anyone again. Not by betrayal, not by loss, not by love lost. I am mine, entirely. And that is more than enough. For the first time in months, I slept without dreams of heartbreak, betrayal, or pain. I slept knowing that I had faced the past, confronted it, and emerged victorious, not through revenge, not through rage, but through survival, clarity, and self-empowerment. Tomorrow, the world would wake again, indifferent to everything. And I would continue to rise, building the life I had always deserved. Because the man she begged for a second chance from no longer exists. The man I am now is unstoppable. The morning sun filtered through the blinds, warm and steady, as I sipped my coffee and watched the city wake up. It was quiet, purposeful, a reflection of the life I had built. I had reached a place I'd only dreamed about months ago, a life defined by my own choices, my own strength, and my own power. Ryan walked in, carrying his usual energy. "You're up early again," he said, grinning. "Some things never change." "I like mornings," I said calmly. "They're honest. They don't hide anything. They just are." He nodded, understanding. "You've changed so much. The old you, he would have crumbled after everything. Now, you're unstoppable." I shrugged slightly. "I've survived. That's what matters. Everything else is just consequence and reward. I've learned to control what I can, to let go of what I can't. And that has made all the difference." Ryan leaned against the counter. "It's impressive. Honestly. You've built this life from nothing, from betrayal and heartbreak. And now? You're untouchable." "Untouchable isn't arrogance," I said quietly. "It's clarity. It's survival. It's refusing to let anyone, or anything, define your worth." Later that day, I walked through the office, checking in with my team. Every handshake, every meeting, every strategy discussion reinforced what I had built. My life was mine, strong, unbroken, and unshakable. A young employee, Lisa, approached me. "Sir, can I ask you something personal?" I looked at her, nodding. "Go ahead." How do you stay so steady? After everything? Betrayal, heartbreak, you just rise above?" I smiled faintly. "It's not about rising above. It's about building. You survive the storm, yes, but then you rebuild. You take the pieces, no matter how broken they seem, and you make something stronger. Something yours." That's what I did. And that's what you can do too. Her eyes widened, inspired but thoughtful. "You really lived it. Not just talking." "Yes," I said. "Action matters more than words. Always. That's the only truth worth anything." Later, I sat in my office, reflecting on everything. Betrayal, heartbreak, humiliation, they had shaped me, yes, but they did not define me. I had chosen to rebuild, to rise, to reclaim my life. And in doing so, I had found something far greater than revenge, freedom, purpose, and power. My phone buzzed. A message from her. "I see it now. You're unshakable. I hope you're happy." I smiled faintly, reading the words. This time, I didn't respond. I didn't need to. My happiness wasn't hers to validate. It wasn't anyone's. It was mine. Completely, entirely, unshakably mine. That evening, I ran through the city streets, rain beginning to fall lightly. The wet air smelled fresh, alive, cleansing. Every step was deliberate, powerful, a declaration that the man who had been betrayed, humiliated, and overlooked was gone. Ryan caught up to me, laughing as he ran beside me. "Man, you're relentless. I don't think I've ever seen anyone so determined." "I'm not determined," I said, gasping slightly. "I'm alive. I'm present. I'm in control. And I won't ever let anyone take that from me again." "You've built a life most people only dream of," he said, smiling. "And you did it without, well, her." I chuckled softly, letting the words settle. I didn't need her. Not to succeed. Not to rise. Not to become who I am. She was part of my past. Now, she's just a reminder of what I overcame. The next morning, I attended a business meeting with a major client. They were impressed with our growth, our strategies, our professionalism. I handled every question, every challenge, every negotiation with precision and calm. And as I walked out of the meeting, I realized something profound. I wasn't just surviving anymore. I was thriving. Every decision, every move, every step was proof that I could overcome anything. Ryan clapped me on the back. You've really made it, man. From heartbreak to this, it's amazing. It's not amazing, I said quietly. It's necessary. Life demands resilience. And I've learned how to deliver it. How to control it. How to own it. Later, in the quiet of my office, I reviewed the company's numbers, plans, and strategies. Each success was a brick in the foundation of my unshakable life. I had built trust with clients, respect from employees, and clarity in my mind. I was no longer dependent on anyone's validation. My power, my life, my purpose, was entirely mine. The city lights twinkled outside my window, indifferent to everything I had endured. And yet, in their reflection, I saw myself clearly. Strong. Alive. Free. Unshakable. Ryan entered quietly, holding 2 cups of coffee. You're still working, he said with a grin. Some things never change. Some things are worth never changing, I replied, taking a sip. Focus, drive, ambition, clarity. They built this life, and they keep me alive. He nodded thoughtfully. You've inspired a lot of people. Me included. I don't think I've ever seen someone rise like this from such devastation. I didn't rise from devastation, I said softly. I rose from choice. I chose to survive. I chose to rebuild. I chose to become unshakable. And that's why I'm here now. Not because I was hurt. Not because I was betrayed. Because I decided to be stronger than anything life threw at me. Later that week, I walked past a familiar street, where I had once spent late nights worrying about her, about betrayal, about lost opportunities. I paused, looking at the cafe where we had dreamed of the future. For a moment, memories tried to pull me in pain, heartbreak, longing, but I didn't let them. I am not that man anymore, I whispered to myself. I am stronger. I am alive. I am free. And I will remain unshakable, no matter what comes. Ryan caught up beside me. You're incredible, he said quietly. You've built a life most people only fantasize about. I didn't build it to be incredible, I said. I built it to survive. To thrive. To live on my own terms. To never be broken again. The rain fell harder, soaking us both. But I didn't care. I felt alive in every drop, every step, every breath. The man who had been betrayed, heartbroken, overlooked, and powerless, was gone. And in his place stood someone entirely new. Strong. Determined. Alive. Free. I whispered once more, softly, as if the city itself could hear, I am unshakable. I am unstoppable. I am mine. Completely. And no one, not betrayal, not heartbreak, not loss, not her, will ever take that away again. That night, I slept without dreams of the past. Without pain. Without longing. I slept knowing I had conquered betrayal, heartbreak, and loss. I slept knowing I had built a life I could never lose, a life that was unshakable, unstoppable, and entirely mine. The office was quiet that morning, sunlight spilling across the polished floors, and I felt it, the calm that comes after a storm. Months of struggle, betrayal, rebuilding, and confrontation had led me here. Not just to success, but to peace. Real peace. Ryan came in, holding 2 coffees. "Looks like you finally made it," he said, grinning. "No crises, no chaos. Just calm." I took a slow sip, savoring it. "Calm isn't weakness," I said. "It's earned. It's proof that I survived, thrived, and learned to control what matters." He nodded thoughtfully. "You've really changed. I mean, not just the company. You. You're different." "Yes," I said quietly. "Stronger. Clearer. Free. I've learned that peace isn't something the world gives you. It's something you take. Something you claim for yourself." Later, I walked through the city streets, the air fresh with spring rain. People passed by, oblivious to the battles I had fought, the betrayals I had endured, the nights I had spent rebuilding my life. And yet, I felt untouchable. Not because anyone feared me, but because I had found my center. My strength. My life. I stopped at a park bench overlooking the river, watching the water ripple and flow. Ryan joined me, leaning casually against the railing. "You ever think about her?" he asked quietly. I glanced at him, eyes calm. "Sometimes," I admitted. Not in anger. Not in longing. But to remind myself of what I overcame. Of the man I was, and the man I've become. She was part of my past, yes, but she doesn't define my present. Not anymore. "She wanted a second chance," Ryan said softly. I smiled faintly, letting the words settle. And I didn't give it. Not because I wanted revenge. Not because I wanted to hurt her. But because I chose myself. I chose life on my terms. I chose peace. I chose strength. I can't let someone who left define my happiness. That's mine." A gentle breeze brushed past, carrying with it the scent of rain and life. I breathed deeply. "I'm not angry anymore," I said. "I'm not sad. I'm not waiting for validation. I am complete. And that feels incredible." Later that evening, in my office, I reviewed the company's progress one last time before leaving. Contracts, deals, successes, all of them were tangible proof that I had survived, rebuilt, and thrived. I had earned every bit of this life. Ryan leaned on the doorframe, smirking. "You've built an empire, man. And yet, you seem peaceful. Not desperate, not angry. Just calm. That's new." "It's not new," I said softly. "It's earned. And it's necessary. I've learned that strength isn't just in rising. It's in knowing when to stop, when to let go, when to embrace peace. And I've reached that point." He nodded, understanding. "You've come a long way." "I have," I agreed. "And the journey isn't over. But now, it's different. Focused. Clear. Alive. That's the life I've claimed. And no one, no betrayal, no heartbreak, no past, can take it from me again." A week later, I visited the cafe where she and I had spent so many nights dreaming of the future. I didn't go inside. I didn't need to. I just stood outside, observing. The memories tried to surface, but I let them pass like clouds in the sky. The man I was then wasn't me anymore. Ryan walked beside me. "You okay?" he asked. "I'm more than okay," I said. "I'm free. And that's all that matters." We continued walking, the city alive around us, every light, every shadow, every sound a reminder that life moves relentlessly forward. And so must I. That evening, as I stood on my balcony overlooking the skyline, I thought about all I had endured: betrayal, heartbreak, humiliation, and loss. And I realized something vital: I hadn't just survived. I hadn't just rebuilt. I had transformed. into someone strong, resilient, and unshakable. My phone buzzed. A message from a former client, congratulating me on the latest deal. I smiled, responding quickly and efficiently. Business, life, relationships, all of it was mine to manage. All of it was mine to claim. I thought about her one last time, not with longing, not with anger, but with clarity. She had begged for a second chance I would never give. And that was right. She had made her choice. I had made mine. Mine was peace, strength, and freedom. Ryan leaned on the railing beside me. So, she's out of your life for good? For good, I said firmly. And I feel lighter than I ever have. No resentment. No hope for her return. Just life, mine to build. Mine to live. Mine to rise in. He smiled. I think I've never seen you like this. Calm. Powerful. Unshakable. Because I am, I said. I'm not just surviving. I'm thriving. And that matters more than anything else. Not revenge. Not validation. Not approval. My life. My choices. My strength. That's enough. Days passed. I continued to grow my company, strengthen my body, and sharpen my mind. Every challenge, every obstacle, every potential setback was met with clarity, control, and resilience. I didn't need to prove myself to anyone. I only needed to prove it to myself. One quiet evening, I stood in my office, looking out at the lights of the city stretching endlessly. I whispered softly, almost to myself, I am unshakable. I am unstoppable. I am free. And nothing, no one, can take this from me. Ryan joined me quietly, placing a hand on my shoulder. You've really done it, he said. You've claimed your life. Your strength. Your peace. I have, I said quietly. And I'll continue to claim it. Every day, every moment. Because life moves forward, and so do I, stronger. Clearer. Alive. That night, I went to bed without dreams of betrayal or loss. Without longing, without anger, without heartbreak. I slept knowing that the man I had become was powerful, resilient, and free. I had confronted the past, survived its storms, and emerged victorious, not through revenge, but through strength, clarity, and self-empowerment. The world would continue to move, indifferent and relentless. And I would continue to rise, building a life of purpose, power, and peace. Because the man she begged for a second chance from no longer exists. The man I am now is unshakable. The man I am now is at peace. And that peace is mine forever.